Light has come because there are no laws but God's. There is no loss under the laws of God. God's laws forever give and never take. There are no laws except the laws of God. This needs repeating over and over until you realize it applies to everything. Everything that you have made in opposition to God's will. I am under no laws but God's. I am under no laws but God's. I am under no laws but God's. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today in studying A Course in Miracles. We're reading from the Foundation for Peace version of A Course in Miracles today. And this is for Lesson 76, Monday, March the 17th, 2025. St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Potato planting day in my mind. I bought a 50-pound bag of Yukon Golds yesterday so I could get some potatoes in the ground. I'm under no laws but God's, and I'm Forgiveness Willie, teaching forgiveness from the Ozarks on this windy, almost rainy, it's actually a Friday for me, but this is for Monday, March the 17th, 2025's lesson. I'm under no laws but God's. You have observed before how many senseless things have seemed to you to be salvation. Each has imprisoned you with laws as senseless as itself. You are not bound by them. Yet to understand that this is so, you must first realize salvation lies not there. While you would seek for it in things that have no meaning, you bind yourself to laws that make no sense. Thus do you seek to prove salvation is where it is not. Today we will be glad you cannot prove it, for if you could, you would forever seek salvation where it is not, and never find it. The idea for today tells you once again how simple is salvation. Look for it where it waits for you, and there it will be found. Look nowhere else, for it is nowhere else. Think of the freedom and the recognition that you are not bound by all the strange and twisted laws you have set up to save you. You really think that you would starve unless you have stacks of green paper strips and piles of metal discs. You really think a small round pellet or some fluid pushed into your veins through a sharpened needle would ward off disease and death. You really think you are alone unless another body is with you. It is insanity to think these things. You call them laws and put them under different names and a long catalog of rituals that have no use and serve no purpose. You think you must obey the laws of medicine, of economics, and of health. Protect the body and you will be saved. These are not laws, but madness. The body is endangered by the mind that hurts itself. The body suffers just in order that the mind will fail to see it is the victim of itself. The body's suffering is a mask the mind holds up to hide what really suffers. It would not understand it is its own enemy, that it attacks itself and wants to die. It is from this your laws would save the body. It is for this you think you are a body. There are no laws except the laws of God. This needs repeating over and over until you realize it applies to everything that you have made in opposition to God's will. Your magic has no meaning. What it is meant to save does not exist. Only what it is meant to hide will save you. The laws of God can never be replaced. We will devote today to rejoicing that this is so. It is no longer a truth that we would hide. We realize instead it is a truth that keeps us free forever. Magic imprisons, but the laws of God make free. The light has come, because there are no laws but His. We will begin the longer practice periods today with a short review of the different kinds of, in quotes, laws we have believed we must obey. These would include, for example, the laws of nutrition, of immunization, of medication, and of the body's protection in innumerable ways. Think further. You believe in the laws of friendship, of good relationships, and reciprocity. Perhaps you even think there are laws which set forth what is God's and what is yours. Many, in quotes, religions have been based on this. They would not save, but damn in heaven's name. For they are no more strange than other laws you hold must be obeyed to make you safe. There are no laws but God's. Dismiss all foolish magical beliefs today and hold your mind in silent readiness to hear the voice that speaks the truth to you. You will be listening to one who says there is no loss under the laws of God. Payment is neither given nor received. Exchange cannot be made. There are no substitutes, and nothing is replaced by something else. God's laws forever give and never take. Hear him who tells you this, and realize how foolish are the laws you thought upheld the world you thought you saw. Then listen further. He will tell you more about the love your Father has for you, about the endless joy He offers you, about His yearning for His only Son, created as His channel for creation, denied to Him by His belief in hell. Let us today open God's channels to Him and let His will extend through us to Him. Thus is creation endlessly increased. His voice will speak of this to us, as well as of the joys of heaven, which His laws keep limitless forever. We will repeat today's idea until we have listened and understood there are no laws but God's. Then we will tell ourselves, as a dedication with which the practice period concludes, I am under no laws but God's. So we're going to begin the lesson today by saying I'm under no laws but God's. Say that throughout the lesson as you need to remind yourself that there's no laws but God's. Remember, he says that we can't repeat that idea too often to ourselves because we so believe there's other laws. Thinking that there's some people that are good and some people that are bad, some medicines, some foods that are good, some foods that are bad, just all kinds of a list of magical thoughts, he calls them. But we want to learn that we're only under the laws of God, and that's the only law we want to acknowledge. So begin your practice, your 10 to 15 minute practice periods by observing the laws that you've been believing. And then let them go with the idea, I'm under no laws but God's. And then go deeper. Ask God to teach you now. Be in a receptive state to understand what He has for you. And then conclude, after you've listened to God for your 10 to 15 minutes, I'm under no laws but God's. We will repeat this dedication as often as possible today, at least 4 or 5 times an hour, as well as in response to any temptation to experience ourselves as subject to other laws throughout the day. It is our statement of freedom from all danger and all tyranny. It is our acknowledgement that God is our Father and that His Son is saved. This idea is going to save us from, it's a statement of freedom from all danger, from all tyranny. Wow. Freedom. Okay, I am under no laws but God's. There are no laws except the laws of God. This needs repeating over and over until you realize it applies to everything you have made in opposition to God's will. Okay, let's go take a look in our text reading. We're in chapter 9, the acceptance of the atonement, Roman numeral 4, the Holy Spirit's plan of forgiveness. Atonement is for all, because it is the way to undo the belief that anything is for you alone. To forgive is to overlook. Look then beyond error and do not let your perception rest upon it. For you will believe what your perception holds. Accept as true only what your brother is, if you would know yourself. Accept as true only what your brother is, not what he does. Remember, he's the truth. He's the way, the truth, and the life for you. He's all good. He's God in flesh. He's you. Love your neighbor as yourself because he is yourself. Accept as true only what your brother is, if you would know yourself. Perceive what he is not, and you cannot know what you are, because you see him falsely. Remember always that your identity is shared, and that its sharing is its reality. 2. You have a part to play in the atonement, but the plan of the atonement is beyond you. You do not understand how to overlook errors, or you would not make them. It would merely be further error to believe either that you do not make them, or that you can correct them without a guide to correction. And if you do not follow this guide, the Holy Spirit, your errors will not be corrected. The plan is not yours because of your limited ideas about what you are. This sense of limitation is where all errors arise. The way to undo them, therefore, is not of you, but for you. 3. The atonement is a lesson in sharing, which is given you because you have forgotten how to do it. The Holy Spirit merely reminds you of the natural use of your abilities by reinterpreting the ability to attack into the ability to share. Wow, by reinterpreting the ability to attack into the ability to share, he transfers what you have made into what God created. If you would accomplish this through him, you cannot look on your abilities through the eyes of the ego, or you will judge them as it does. All their harmfulness lies in the ego's judgment. All their helpfulness lies in the judgment of the Holy Spirit. Paragraph 4. The ego, too, has a plan of forgiveness because you are asking for one, though not of the right teacher. The ego's plan, of course, makes no sense and will not work. By following its plan, you will merely place yourself in an impossible situation in which the ego always leads you. The ego's plan is to have you see error clearly first and then overlook it. Call a spade is that idea. Well, the Holy Spirit has a different way. The ego's plan is to have you see error clearly first and then overlook it. Yet how can you overlook what you have made real? By seeing it clearly, you have made it real and cannot overlook it. This is where the ego is forced to appeal to mysteries, insisting that you must accept the meaningless to save yourself. Many have tried to do this in my name, forgetting that my words make perfect sense because they come from God. They are as sensible now as they ever were, because they speak of ideas that are eternal. 5. Forgiveness that is learned of me does not use fear to undo fear, nor does it make real the unreal and then destroy it. Forgiveness through the Holy Spirit lies simply in looking beyond error from the beginning, and thus keeping it unreal for you. Do not let any belief in its realness enter your mind, or you will also believe that you must undo what you have made in order to be forgiven. What has no effect does not exist, and to the Holy Spirit the effects of error are non-existent. By steadily and consistently canceling out all its effects Everywhere and in all respects, he teaches that the ego does not exist and proves it. You want proof? Follow the Holy Spirit. By steadily and consistently canceling out all the ego's effects, everywhere and in all respects, it teaches that the ego does not exist and proves it. Sixth, follow the Holy Spirit's teaching in forgiveness then, because forgiveness is His function, and He knows how to fulfill it perfectly. That is what I meant when I said that miracles are natural, and when they do not occur, something has gone wrong. And he said that in chapter 1 there in the 50 Principles of Miracles. One of those principles is miracles are natural. When they do not occur, something has gone wrong. Miracles are merely the sign of your willingness to follow the Holy Spirit's plan of salvation, recognizing that you do not understand what it is. His work is not your function. Unless you accept this, you cannot learn what your function is. 7. The confusion of functions is so typical of the ego that you should be quite familiar with it by now. The ego believes that all functions belong to it, even though it has no idea what they are. This is more than mere confusion. It is a particularly dangerous combination of grandiosity and confusion that makes the ego likely to attack anyone and anything for no reason at all. This is exactly what the ego does. It is unpredictable in its responses because it has no idea what it perceives. 8. If you have no idea what is happening, how appropriately can you expect to react? You might ask yourself, regardless of how you may account for the reaction, whether its unpredictability places the ego in a sound position as your guide. Let me repeat that the ego's qualifications as a guide are singularly unfortunate, and that it is a remarkably poor choice as a teacher of salvation. Anyone who elects a totally insane guide must be totally insane himself. Nor is it true that you do not realize the guide is insane. You realize it because I realize it, and you have judged it by the same standard I have. 9. The ego literally lives on borrowed time, and its days are numbered. Do not fear the last judgment, but welcome it, and do not wait, for the ego's time is borrowed from your eternity. This is the second coming that was made for you as the first was created. The second coming is merely the return of sense. Can this possibly be fearful? 10. What can be fearful but fantasy? And who turns to fantasy unless he despairs of finding satisfaction in reality? Yet it is certain that you will never find satisfaction in fantasy, so that your only hope is to change your mind about reality. Only if the decision that reality is fearful is wrong can God be right. And I assure you that God is right. Be glad, then, that you have been wrong. But this was only because you did not know who you were. Had you known, you could no more have been wrong than God can. 11. The impossible can happen only in fantasy. When you search for reality in fantasies, you will not find it. The symbols of fantasy are of the ego, and of these you will find many. But do not look for meaning in them. They have no more meaning than the fantasies into which they are woven. Fairy tales can be pleasant or fearful, but no one calls them true. Children may believe them, and so for a while the tales are true for them. Yet when reality dawns, the fantasies are gone. Reality has not gone in the meanwhile. The second coming is the awareness of reality, not its return. Behold, my child, reality is here. It belongs to you and me and God, and is perfectly satisfying to all of us. Only this awareness heals, because it is the awareness of truth. And you know, it's getting ready to rain, and I think I'm going to have to set my umbrella up, or we're not going to be able to finish. So if you give me just a minute, I always try to have this done. Sorry about the hammering but I've got to get this umbrella sitting above my head, or we're not going to be able to. I already got some sprinkles coming down. I always keep my trusty hatchet with me just for that purpose. So I had it over at the side to keep the sunlight off of me. But when the rain comes, I've got to put it over me. Okay. I'm under no laws but God's. Thank you for letting me bang on that in your ear. Sorry about that. It's St. Patrick's Day. Like I said, it's also Ramadan continues. Lent and the Great Lent, I think this is what the Orthodox call it. Act Happy Day. What a cheerful heart makes for a glad countenance, says Proverbs. As we're learning that the result of our body's health, the things that happen in our life, are results of what's going on in our mind. So we're learning to act happy, because we're not just, it's the manifestation of a happy mind, our reality. Okay, let's make sure it is raining now, so I'm glad we put that up. Campfire Girls Day, Doctor-Patient Trust Day, and Welderly Day. Welderly Day, Well Elderly Day. And out of Seed Savers Exchange, we've got the Scarlet Nantes carrot, also known as early corliss. This variety stores well and adapts well to different conditions. Its cylindrical roots are 7 inches long and blunt tips, and its fine-grained, bright red-orange flesh is nearly coreless, offering great flavor that's sweet and crisp, good when used as baby carrots, and excellent for freezing and juicing. Dating to the 1850s, the variety was developed in France by the seed company Vilmorin Andro. It's a 65 to 75 day, and there's 21,000 seeds to the ounce, and it's a Docus carota. Okay, this is actually the second time I've made this recording today. I was almost finished with it, and my camera quit. I think I had too much on it. It ran out of memory, I think, is what happened. So this is my second take. I was almost finished. So now we're here in the middle of it. We get a rain. So anyway, thank you for joining me. I'm so glad. I'm hoping we get to watch the trees bud over the next few days. I think they're probably going to come. We're going to start seeing. I'm seeing some green on some things right now. Let me see if I can pull something here real quick. Look, here's a little bit of green coming in. Just barely. Everything's starting to bud. It won't be long. Okay, be sure to do your lesson today. Your 2 10 to 15 minute practice periods, and then every he says 4 or 5 times an hour, tell yourself, I'm under no laws but God's. And in your practice period, you know what to do, I think. Review what laws you thought you were obeying that you don't need to be bound by. You're bound by God's laws. The law of love, freedom. And then after you've reviewed those and dismissed them with the idea, I'm under no laws but God's, then ask God to show you what laws He wants you to live by. And then as you conclude your 15-minute practice, or 10, 15 minutes, again, tell yourself, I'm under no laws but God's, and then keep that going about every 10 or 15 minutes today. Tell yourself, I'm under no laws but God's. am under no laws but God's. I am under no laws but God's. The light has come because there are no laws but God's. There is no loss under the laws of God. There is no loss under the laws of God. God's laws forever give and never take. There are no laws except the laws of God. There are no laws except the laws of God. This needs repeating over and over until you realize it applies to everything. This needs repeating over and over until you realize it applies to everything. Everything that you have made in opposition to God's will. There are no laws except the laws of God. There are no laws except the laws of God. I am under no laws but God's. I am under no laws but God's. I am under no laws but God's. I am under no laws but God. I am under no laws but God's. And it's actually raining now. I noticed that camera got a little bit brighter for some reason. I don't know if I can correct that, but we're about finished anyway, so I guess it doesn't make a lot of difference. Anyway, our word for peace is from the Catalan people of Catalonia. They're in what's currently known as Spain, the Iberian Peninsula, from the Pyrenees Mountains, the Tir River, the Llobregat River, and the Ebro River. And their word for peace is POW. POW be with you. I'm under no laws but God's. POW.